Hello and welcome back. I am so glad you're here because we are talking about such an important topic, testing hormones. And we've been spending all week talking about that. And this is our last video on testing hormones. So you have everything that you need in order to test your hormones accurately. This video is about what to do if you are currently taking bioidentical hormones. It also is important that when you start bioidentical hormones, this video is going to be important for you to know when you go to follow up on your hormone testing after you start bioidentical hormones. All right, so let's get started. Oh, but before that, I want to tell you about this workshop that is coming up. So in this workshop, you'll be able to ask me questions. You'll hear from and meet other women just like you and so much more. And if you're part of the Hormone Workshop, I got a special surprise for you. Okay. All right, so what time should you use or take your bioidentical hormones the night or day before you plan to test? This is really critical because if you think about it, it's going to be testing your levels. So you want to make sure that you take your bioidentical hormones at the right time because timing is everything. So here's the guidelines to follow. If you use a topical hormone, the first thing we want to do is make sure that we don't use it on our neck or our face for 3 days before we plan to take our hormone testing. We don't want to use it in any area that might saturate our salivary glands. Now, if you're using it, you're going to use a blood spot, it's not as important. But if you're using saliva as your testing mode, then you want to refrain from using it in this area for 3 days before. There's nothing wrong with using the hormones in this area as one of your areas to use it, but we're going to get to that at another time when we're actually talking about exactly how to supplement. Okay, so this is number one. Now, if you're doing blood spot, the same thing applies. So you want to use gloves for about at least 3 days. Now, I want to tell you, I really want everyone to use gloves when they apply their hormones every single day. But if you cheat and don't use gloves, please know that you need to use gloves for at least 3 days prior to testing, because even in the top couple of layers of your skin, the hormones can saturate. So when you go to do your blood spot, you're going to get false results. Just use gloves all the time. I use one glove, one hand, and I never touch the hormones at all. Okay. Now, how about topical hormones? When should you apply your last dose? It should be 12 to 24 hours before you plan to test. So first thing in the morning, you're testing your hormones. If it's at 7 a.m., then you do not want to apply them later than 7 p.m. So you have to plan ahead. All right, how about oral hormones? Let's start with oral progesterone because it is sort of outside the box. And there's two types of oral progesterone. We kind of don't really like oral estrogen. We really want to stay away from oral estrogen, but oral progesterone is fine. So if you get an oral progesterone prescription from your physician, from a conventional doctor, you're going to get either Prometrium or the generic micronized progesterone. And it looks like this Prometrium. It can look like Indogest or, something that just says micronized progesterone. Now, very specific progesterone. It's different than a compounded progesterone because it's short acting. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, and most conventional doctors don't know that. It only lasts 6 to 10 hours. So if you're using progesterone orally only, and you're using from your conventional doctor Prometrium or micronized progesterone, you're not covered for more than half the day. Okay, so you're going to want to supplement that oral dose with some morning topical dose. Now I'm going to get to that when we talk about actually how to supplement with hormones. But as it stands right now with this particular slide, we want to see that you need to take your oral progesterone between 6 to 10 hours before. So if you're going to test at 7 a.m., then no later than, no earlier than 9 p.m. Okay, so you can if you take it at 7 p.m., that's going to be 12 hours, and so your levels are going to be low. So take it between 6 and 10 hours. Okay, now if you get a compounded progesterone, because you went to an anti-aging physician, this is what they're more likely going to give you if they don't give you a topical. They're either going to give you a topical or they're going to give you a sustained release oral. Now the sustained release is going to last you almost all day. So your last dose of the sustained release is going to be 12 to 24 hours. And that's the way it is really with all the other bioidentical hormones that you take orally, and that is DHEA, pregnenolone, melatonin is a hormone that you take orally, and your sustained release progesterone. If you take an oral estrogen, that an anti-aging physician gave you oral estrogen, or a conventional doctor gave you oral estrogen, I don't like it. But if they do, it still falls in the 12 to 24 hour range. Okay, sublingual, which is like a troche. A troche comes in a number of different shapes and sizes. It can be a lollipop, it can be a gummy bear, it can be a sublingual thing supplement that you put under your tongue. A sublingual, same as oral. So 12 to 24 hours before your planned testing. Now, remember though, if you use a sublingual form, you don't want to do saliva testing. That is in another video earlier, but you need to use blood spot if you're using sublingual. Okay? All right. Come to the workshop and I'll remind you of that again. Oops, one more. There we go. How about patches? All right, so there's patches that are wonderful. We like patches, right? They're easy, once a week, twice a week. And there's estrogen-only patches, but there's also that naughty estrogen plus progestin patch. All right, going to get to that in a minute. If it's an estrogen-only patch, then your levels are going to be pretty even all the time. So you don't need to worry about when to test your hormones in terms of the relationship as to when you put your patch on, okay? If it's the very first patch you've ever put on, well, then you want to do it in the middle of the, range. So if it's once a week, then you want to wait 2 or 3 days. But assuming that you've been on your patch for a while, your levels are going to be very even. So you just basically test the way you would normally test based on the time of the month, okay, based on your cycle. And if you don't have any periods at all, you just test anytime. Now, if you're on one of those really disgusting patches that have progestins in it, you got it from your conventional doctor, I want you off of it, please. That's nasty stuff, okay? But they came out with it. Climera Pro is one, different than Climera. Climera is estrogen only. Climera Pro has progestin, the synthetic supplement or synthetic alternative to bioidentical progesterone. Ugh. Or there's one called Combi Patch. And either one of those, you need to be off the patch completely for at least 4, preferably 7 days. When it comes time to put your new patch on, leave it off. Leave it off forever. Leave it off and test about a week after. Get that progestin, try to get that progestin out of your body as best you can. Allow your body to start making that progesterone. Okay. All right, how about pellets? Some people are using pellets today, and they're pretty nice if you know your dosing. So you really should never use pellets until you've used bioidentical hormones in some other shape or form, so you know what your doses are that you need. And then you go to an anti-aging physician for pellets. Now, pellets can have a life expectancy. They can be 3 months, they can be 6 months, just depending on the plan of care with your anti-aging doctor. So if they're supposed to last you 3 months, then you're going to want to test your hormones at half that time, mid-cycle, which would be 6 weeks. If they're supposed to last 6 months, then you would test it at 3. All right, injections, same thing. If you have an injection that is going to last you a week, you would test your hormones in the mid-cycle. Yes, some women actually have injections of testosterone, bioidentical testosterone, and that would be at testing at day 3 to 4 if you want to see what your testosterone level is. I'm not really fond of it, but it's out there. Okay, one more consideration, and then we're done, and that is with 7-keto DHEA. You may have heard about this. This particular hormone is a steroid hormone, but it's not a sex hormone. It doesn't convert to estrogen, testosterone, DHEA, or any of them. It comes from DHEA, but it's the end of the line, and it increases your metabolism and helps you lose weight. It's an awesome hormone. A lot of people are using it now, so that's why I have to tell you about it. If you are taking 7-keto DHEA, it's mostly oral form. You can get a topical from your anti-aging doctor, but mostly oral, over the counter, then you don't want to take it for 3 days before you test any hormone. All right, so I told you before, I got a saliva and a blood spot test, show you step by step of my actual testing. Wake up in the morning, do my saliva, and then I went and did my blood spot to show you, and it is for real, and I did get my results from it. So it's on my website, drkarenleggett.com. Up next, really, really important. We're done with testing, and we are going to hit some cool stuff. And we're going to start with the powerful protector, progesterone. And I am a dog lover. I've never had a German Shepherd before, but I love these dogs. Such important protecting dogs. And what we're going to discuss first are many aspects of progesterone, but most importantly, the concept of the progesterone to estrogen ratio. All right, so if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And this was so much fun for me, and I love being here and teaching you all this stuff. And I can't wait to do more. Okay, so come on back and see you soon. Bye-bye.